Alright, welcome to the Strange North channel. In this video, I'm going to tell you about a story that I've been following for a number of years, and if you haven't heard about this, then you might find it interesting as well. Basically, since 2007, at least 25 human feet, usually found in some sort of shoe, have washed up on the coastline of the Salish Sea in the province of BC and then Washington State directly south of the border. And the Salish Sea is a marginal sea. It's this area of the Pacific that's partly bounded by Vancouver Island and other islands, and it includes the Strait of Georgia, the Strait of Juan de Fuca, Puget Sound, and many connecting channels and waterways. Most of the feet that were discovered were found in BC, but a few were also found in Washington State, and I'll also mention those cases. These feet included a number of matched pairs. 2 feet belonging to the same person were found at separate times and locations. Now, this definitely wasn't the first time feet were discovered on the BC coast. In 1887, a foot and partial leg encased in a boot washed up on a beach in Vancouver, and this led to this location being called Leg in Boot Square. This square and a road of the same name still exist in Vancouver. But feet washing up on shore wasn't a regular occurrence in BC, and starting in 2007, there seemed to be a massive increase in the frequency of this happening. So things really kicked off on August 20th of 2007 on the coast of Jedediah Island in BC. A 12-year-old girl from Washington State was visiting this island, and she found a size 12 Adidas runner with a human right foot inside it. It was thought to have become disarticulated due to submerged decay. DNA analysis later linked this foot to a man that went missing in 2004. 6 days later, on August 26 of that year, a couple walking the beach on Gabriola Island found another human foot in a shoe, and this appeared to have been taken to shore by an animal. And DNA analysis linked this foot with another man that went missing in 2006. The discovery of 2 feet in the span of 6 days was highly unusual. Corporal Gary Cox of Oceanside RCMP on Vancouver Island said that the odds of finding 2 male feet wearing size 12 shoes within the space of a week are so astronomically high that they defy description. 5.5 months later, on February 8th of 2008, on Valdes Island, a right foot size 11 Nike runner with a human foot was found. It was later identified as belonging to a 21-year-old man from Surrey who had been reported missing 4 years prior. 3 months later, on May 22nd of 2008, a woman's right foot wearing a sock and a blue and white New Balance sneaker was found on the shore of Kirkland Island in BC. This one was thought to have washed down the Fraser River, having nothing to do with the other feet that were found in the Gulf Islands. Kirkland Island is in the municipality of Richmond, which is part of the greater Vancouver area. Less than a month later, on June 19th, a male left foot inside a size 11 Nike runner was found near Westham Island in the city of Delta. It was later confirmed that this foot belonged to the same person whose right foot was found on Valdes Island on February 8th of that year. DNA analysis linked these feet to a man that went missing in 2006. Not long after this, on August 1st of that year, a right foot inside a men's black size 11 runner was found near Peicht in Washington State. This isn't far from the other feet that were discovered in BC, and this was the first foot in the series that was found in Washington State. Canadian RCMP and the Clallam County Sheriff's Department in Washington State agreed that this foot could have been carried south from Canadian waters, and I could find no mention of this particular foot ever being identified. 3 months later, on November 11th of that year, a woman's foot in a left runner was found floating in the Fraser River in Richmond. This foot was later found to be a genetic match with the foot found on May 22nd of that year off Kirkland Island. This person was later identified as a woman who jumped from Pattullo Bridge in New Westminster in April of 2004. There was a bit of a break in the discoveries, but less than a year later, on October 7th of 2009, a right foot inside a white size 8.5 Nike runner was found near the Triangle Beach area of Richmond. This was later linked to a Vancouver area man who went missing in January of 2008. The next year, on August 27th of 2010, a woman or child's right foot without a shoe or sock was found on the shore of Whidbey Island in Washington State. This foot was determined to have been in the water for only 2 months. Most of the other feet discovered were thought to have been in the water much longer. Detective Ed Wallace of the Island County Sheriff's Office in Washington State released a statement saying that the foot would be tested for DNA. However, there was no match found in the national database. About 3 months later, on December 5th, another foot was found in Washington State. This was a right foot inside a boy's size 6 Ozark Trail hiking boot, and it was found on the tidal flats near Tacoma. It was never identified, and it was the first foot that was found from a younger person. And so at this point, there have been 10 feet discovered in this region, but things just continued on after this. On August 30th of 2011, a human foot was found in a men's white and blue size 9 runner, and it was still attached to the lower leg bones. This was found floating next to the Plaza of Nations Marina in False Creek within Vancouver city limits. As I mentioned, this foot was attached to leg bones, which are said to have disarticulated naturally at the knee due to the water, and I could find no mention of this foot ever being identified. And then about a week after this discovery, 2 children's running shoes filled with raw meat were found washed up on Oak Beach on Vancouver Island. A couple months later, on November 4th of 2011, a men's right foot inside a size 12 hiking boot was found by a group of campers in a pool of fresh water at Sasamat Lake near Port Moody in the Greater Vancouver area. It was later identified by the BC Coroner Service as belonging to Stefan Zahorico, a local fisherman who went missing in 1987, which was 24 years prior. And then to close out 2011, on December 10th of that year, a human leg bone and foot were found in a plastic bag under the Ship Canal Bridge at Lake Union within the city limits of Seattle, Washington. In this case, the medical examiner did not find the cause of death or identify the remains. The next month, on January 26 of 2012, the remains of what appeared to be human bones inside of a boot were found in the sand along the water line at the dog park near the Maritime Museum at the foot of Arbutus Street in Vancouver, and this foot was never identified. In October of 2012, another right foot inside of a runner was found in False Creek within Vancouver city limits. DNA analysis linked this foot with the other one that was found in False Creek in August of 2011, and it was determined that they belonged to a man that went missing in 2010. Then there was a bit of a break until May 6 of 2014, when a left foot inside a white New Balance men's size 10.5 runner was found on the shoreline of Centennial Park near the Pier 86 grain terminal in Seattle, Washington, and I could not find any mention of this foot being identified. Then another bit of a break until February 7th of 2016, people hiking on Botanical Beach near Port Renfrew on Vancouver Island found a men's left foot inside a sock and New Balance running shoe on the beach. 5 days later, another foot inside a shoe that matched the first one washed up on shore, very close to where the other one was found near Port Renfrew, and DNA analysis linked these 2 feet with a man who went missing in November of 2013. Then there was another break until December 8th of 2017, when remains of a leg with a shoe attached washed up on shore near the settlement of Jordan River on Vancouver Island. The remains were later identified as belonging to 79-year-old Stanley K. Okamoto of Silverdale, Washington, after DNA analysis. The next year, on May 6 of 2018, a man walking along the shore on Gabriola Island found a hiking boot with a human foot inside wedged in a log jam. DNA analysis linked the foot with a man that went missing earlier that year. A few months later, in September of that year, a human foot inside a light gray Nike Free Run size 9.5 runner was found on the shore near the 30th Street beach access point in West Vancouver. DNA analysis linked this foot with another man that went missing earlier that year. And then the very first day of 2019, January 1st, a human foot was found inside a boot on Jedediah Island near Everett, Washington. DNA analysis linked this foot to Antonio Neal, a man who had been missing since December 12th of 2016. Then came the largest gap in this series of discoveries, nearly 3 years. But on November 21st of 2021, a size 7 Brahma work boot containing the bones of a right foot was found washed up on Locust Beach, just west of Bellingham, Washington, and it was determined that the remains belonged to a male. The following month, in December of that year, a size 8 New Balance runner washed up on the mouth of the Elwha River near Port Angeles, Washington. It was determined that the foot belonged to Geraldine L. Smith, who went missing from Sequim, Washington in January 2018, and she was 68 years old when she went missing. And the final discovery was made on July 23rd of 2023. Another human foot inside a shoe was found washed up on Gonzales Beach in Victoria, and I could not find any update from the coroner in terms of this foot being identified. And that pretty much wraps up this video. So as you can see, 25 feet washed up in this region of North America from 2007 to 2023. And after a long period of this sort of thing being relatively rare, there seems to have been a massive increase in this sort of discovery since 2007. And of course, there were multiple times where both feet belonging to the same person were found at different times and locations. And according to investigators, this is extremely rare. And of course, many people have asked, hey, why is it just feet that are washing up on these beaches and not other other body parts. But of course, shoes and boots provide protection for these feet, and so it definitely makes sense that this particular body part would last longer in the ocean. But the massive increase in this sort of discovery in recent years has definitely baffled a lot of investigators, and it's definitely a bit of a mystery as to why these feet are being found at a much higher rate. Additionally, this sort of thing hasn't happened in any other part of North America, and this is something that has happened primarily on the coastline of the Salish Sea. At any rate, I've been following these stories for a while, and it's always intrigued me, and so I thought that if you hadn't heard about this, you might find it interesting as well. And I'm definitely interested in hearing people's thoughts and opinions on the subject. I hope you found this interesting and informative, and if you'd like to watch more of my videos in general, please consider subscribing to my channel. I upload at least one new video per week. Thank you for watching. I hope you have a great day, and I look forward to seeing you next time on the Strange North channel.